this episode of the Business of Inclusion podcast series, we speak with Chad Crago, the Assistant Vice President Human Resources Partner at Manulife Canada. We discuss key insights for successful job seekers, such as resume, interview preparation, how to network on and offline, and tips for getting off to the right foot at your new job. Hello and welcome to the Business of Inclusion podcast. I'm your host today, Jenna Catcher, the Program Coordinator, Employer Partner Relations and Mentor Recruitment for the Toronto Region Immigrant Employment Council, otherwise known as TRIAC. Today, I'm very pleased to welcome Mr. Chad Crago. Welcome and thank you, Chad.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. And as you've already shared some of your expert advice on our YouTube channel, we're delighted to have you back and learn more of your expert advice and insights for us. Would you be able to tell our listeners a bit more about you and your professional background?
I've been working in the human resource industry here in Ontario for about 25 years. I've worked for some of the largest employers in Canada, both on the finance industry as well as the retail industry, which has just been really cool to see how different industries operate and the nuances between them. I'm currently in a role of HR business partner, or what some people call a generalist, but spent a lot of my career in areas like training and development, leadership development, and some change management as well, which has just been really super interesting to see different ways in the HR as to how we drive success of a business through talent.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing more about your background and what you're doing now. And I'm sure with your background being so vast, you have lots of great experience in different businesses as well as different roles, that you're a very well-rounded generalist. So in terms of, kind of for a resume, in terms of a layout and design, are there some common mistakes that candidates should typically avoid on their resumes?
I'd say the one thing I've found in my experience is every recruiter or every hiring manager is a little bit different in what they're looking for. So I hesitate to say mistakes, but some of the things that, I think are really good to keep in mind when it comes to the layout and design is to keep it simple. I have seen some people who maybe go a little too far in trying to catch people's eyes. So they have lots of different colors and many different font sizes or different fonts. They have graphics or pictures. I just find that can be really overwhelming, and it takes away from the content of your resume. In my experience, I would say keep it clear, keep it clean, keep it concise. Really make good use of the white space. It doesn't need to be flashy. It just needs to catch somebody's eye and encourage them to keep reading the content, because the content is what matters. Just on the point of content, though, I've also seen on the flip side where some people, have all the colors and the graphics. I've seen on the opposite end where people think they have to put every thought that they have around their career experience. So they make it, maybe a 5-page resume, or they try to cram it into 2 pages, but they use an 8-size font and they expand the margins to the very edge of the paper, back in the days where we still printed paper anyway. That much content can be really overwhelming to somebody who might be receiving 100 resumes that they need to scan through. So really keep it clean, keep it clear, so that people can focus on why you have the experience to be the successful candidate.
Awesome. Yeah. So clean, clear, and concise. Great, 3 C's to live by for resumes.
It makes it easier, doesn't it?
Definitely. Yeah. And I think that's great in terms of resume customization. People often maybe go a little bit overboard with that. But can you speak a bit to what type of customization people should be doing and how important it is to tailor your resume for each job application while keeping it clean, clear, and concise?
Absolutely. Customization is critical in my opinion. Even in recent memory, I can say I've seen resumes come through for a job, and, there's some really interesting experience that the candidate had in the one case I'm thinking of, but it didn't relate to the job that I was recruiting for at the time. And I thought, it felt like just a canned resume. They were trying to get it out and trying to blast it to as many job postings as they could. And it just leaves the person, the recruiter or the hiring manager wondering, okay, well, is this really the job you're most excited about? Or are you just, kind of throwing out as many as you can and hoping you get a hit rate? And we've all been in that position where, we're searching for a job. We're excited to land that next job. And I think that that excitement is best shown when you customize to what the job posting is asking for. So keep in mind, at the end of the day, your resume is really intended to very quickly tell the story that, hey, you're looking for these skills, these capabilities, this experience, and here's very concisely, again, how I have those and I match up. So the more you can do the match between your resume and what the job posting is asking for, the easier you're making it for whoever's reviewing your resume to say, oh my gosh, this is very clearly somebody I should be meeting with. And at the end of the day, that's what your resume is. It's something to entice them to then go ahead and book that interview. The interview is really where you want to be able to sell yourself. So get yourself in the door with a very customized resume that tells that story.
Yes, definitely. That really leads into my next question of the role of story playing in a resume and how candidates can effectively convey their achievements and experience. I know a lot of people also dread the cover letter. So if you have any thoughts about cover letter versus resume as well and how each can be used to storytell, that'd be awesome to hear about.
For sure. Yeah, there's certainly value in storytelling. I think in the resume itself, I would probably not go so far as storytelling. I would keep it really crisp and have clear examples that, wherever possible, include specifically what was your role, specifically what did you accomplish in situation XYZ, and, wherever possible, add some data points. So, did you see an increase in production of 7%, whatever the case may be? Give those facts, and it's the facts that people are going to be looking for in the very quick hit sound bites. Storytelling, then, you can elaborate a little bit more. The cover letter is a great place to do that. And, I agree. Most of us stress a little bit about what to put in there. The way I try to think about the cover letter when I'm creating my own or I'm reading somebody else's is that's where I do want to see what's the career story. And more than anything, I always look for what people are passionate about. You may have done multiple diverse roles in your career and worked for different industries in different countries over the world, whatever the case may be. There's a story there. And we're all human at the end of the day. I want to know what your story is. Are you passionate about whether it's the company I'm recruiting for, whether it's the specific job, whether it's, something in the job posting that really caught your interest? I want to see that connection between what I'm offering in this job and what your passion in your career, your past, and what you hope your future is. So the cover letter is a great way to do that. And then obviously that's going to lead into stories that you prepare as you start thinking about the interview.
Awesome. Yeah. So with keeping our resume clean, clear, concise, and then having those quick hit sound bites and data points, and then elaborating on your story and your passion and, what your kind of trajectory has been over your professional career is really important in that cover letter and resume. And now, based on your advice, we've nailed it and we're in the door. So if we've got an interview, what would you say are the most kind of important steps a candidate should take when preparing for that interview besides that resume and cover letter that we've already beautifully covered off?
Yeah, I'd say I look at it two different ways. And number one, we've touched on already, is really understand the opportunity you're now interviewing for. So understand as much as you can. And this is where you leverage your network. You maybe you do a little bit of research online. What's the company? What industry are they playing in? What are the common challenges maybe that industry is facing, or the opportunities? And, if I think of funneling it down, the industry, the company, and then the team and the job that you're applying for, however you can leverage what's available to you to understand what you're walking into, that will allow you to ask better questions and to customize, the stories that you prepare for the interview so that you're giving the most relevant examples to the people who are interviewing you. So at the end of the day, you might have something in your career, in your past, that you're incredibly proud of. But if you can't clearly connect the dots between what that was and what you had to do to accomplish that thing to how that would be a benefit to this opportunity in this company, then, we're not getting full value out of the conversation. So you really want to connect the dots between what does the company need? What do I offer? And how do those two overlap? That's really what you're looking to do.